Hello, hello, hello.
What's up? We back.
Yes, yes, we are.
Give me a hand clap. We
You,
back.
oh, okay. You want a hand clap?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So we've been gone for a minute, man. What's going on, boo?
Well, um, we're still in a pandemic,
Yeah.
even though people don't want to recognize that. But yeah, a lot has happened. A lot has happened.
It's funny because me coming back here to the States, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but uh it was weird because everybody overseas is wearing masks, right? And I walk into the convenience store and ain't nobody wearing a mask. Like, and everybody was looking at me
Like
like,
you, weirdo.
right, like I'm the weirdo. And I'm like, should I take it off? No, I ain't taking it off because I had COVID, and we'll talk about that too. But yeah, welcome to season 2 of Keeping the Covenant, aka the KTC. And so we was gone for a little bit, right?
hmm
So we initially started this show during the pandemic in 2020, and we had some pretty nice traction. And then I ended up taking a job overseas. So initially, I went to Bahrain, and it was like I was here today, I was gone the next day, and I didn't have time to set up a remote, situation for us. So, um, and I've been on the go ever since overseas. I was in Bahrain, then Qatar for almost a year.
hmm
So I'm back for a little bit, and then I'm getting ready to go back overseas here next week. Um, so yeah. So I just want to talk about let the people know what we've been going through, personally, and things that is how it's affected our marriage, and where we are today, and just start season 2. So
Okay, so let's go back. So you covered a whole lot in like that 40 seconds. Okay,
yeah.
so during the pandemic, I lost my job. And it was weird because I lost my job at the very beginning before we even knew it was a pandemic.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, fast forward 2 months, the country was shutting down.
Hmm.
Um, so after that, well, first of all, losing my job was like it was crazy. For me at least, it was crazy for me because as an adult, I've had some type of income for myself as an adult. And then to not have an income. So it was kind of like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I felt like betrayed. And I was like, I gave so much of my time and all of the craziness. And then I had to realize it wasn't mine to begin with. That's number one. Anyway, um, so in the midst of when I lost my job, we made a decision that in order to compensate, I guess, for the income that was lost when I lost my job, we made a decision that you were going to go overseas.
Yeah.
So like because I mean I've gone to visit overseas, but I've never lived. So like kind of give the people a little bit because a lot of people don't. I didn't know about this world prior to us getting married, like working overseas as a contractor. So kind of talk about that.
So yeah, I was in the military for 5 years in the Navy. So, I was overseas. I've been overseas before, but this was a little bit different because you have a lot more freedoms as a contractor, right? Well, first of all, working here, I was the IT director for the state attorney's office here in Orlando, Florida. So, when I told them that, hey, I'm going to be leaving, it was like everybody went into kind of a panic, and they didn't understand why I was leaving. And this is the thing about having a good marriage, right? If you want a good marriage, you can't let everybody in your business. So even where I was
Agreed.
just where I was just telling people like I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. The real reason that I was leaving is because I already saw what was coming. That I even though I had a good salary, the lifestyle that we have in order to maintain that, I've got to go above or exceed what I make currently at this job until something else will come along for April.
Mhm.
But I can't tell everybody that, because then what happens is people want to try to put their own input and their own spin, and then it starts to kind of it could kind of taint what you're trying to do, you know and then really it becomes everybody else's marriage, and not the two of you. so
That is so true. So true.
so I made the decision to go overseas. I already knew that it was going to be difficult mentally. And remember, I was trying to prepare you for months. I was like, look, this ain't gonna be no cakewalk. It ain't like, I could just come back home if I wanted to. But the reality is I really can't, because if I decide to leave this job now, we're both without a job and we got a problem. Okay.
Hmm.
But I went to Bahrain first. And Bahrain was cool. It's expensive. But I wouldn't say I got used to being without you, April, but it
You
gets
could
a
never
little
do that.
easier. Are you
Okay.
are you finished?
Yeah,
Like
go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
but I mean, it's not that I got used to being without you. It's just that I made the adjustment,
Hmm.
because when you first of all, you got to set goals for yourself. When you do something like that, you got to set goals. You going overseas, it can't be okay, because a lot of people, they're not used to making that type of money.
Hmm.
So you have to set goals and realistic expectations. One of the goals was, okay, I want to buy another property. I want us to diversify our financial portfolio. So one of those things was investing in stocks, stock options, and the other thing was to gain more property, gain more real estate, because that is actually where people make their money. If you look at the Jewish community does that all the time. Okay, that's all they do. They go buy property and they
Yeah.
pass it along to each other. So why can't we follow that? Why can't we follow that same method? So that's where I'm at. We're actually in a process of purchasing our second property. Um and yeah, yeah, yeah. We try and do things out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to do things out here. Okay. But yeah, and I think that's just the way to go. I want to continue to do that over and over, so that we have a legacy. That's leaving a legacy to your kids and stuff, man. So Bahrain was cool. It got me accustomed to being overseas and used to that culture over there. Um, then I ended up going to Qatar. I was in Qatar for nine and a half months.
Mhm.
Qatar, beautiful country, similar to Bahrain. Um, you know, there's a lot of customs and traditions that they have. They're Muslim countries, but I will say they're Americanized,
Mhm.
because they see what we have and the freedoms that we have, and they want to be able to afford those type of things to their to their people, but still keep those same traditions. And I mean, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay. Okay. Can we stop right here, right quick? Right.
Hmm.
So while he was over in Qatar, he was like, "Hey, so this was kind of crazy, and it was cool too." Um, so we talk regularly now, as far as us being apart for work. So at the time, he was 8 hours ahead of us. So we would talk at like 10 o'clock at night, and then we would talk at about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, because that's when he would get off of work. 8 o'clock in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning here. So this one particular Monday, he goes, "Hey babe, hey, what's going on?" It was like, "You check your email?" No, I just woke up. Why? What's up? Can you check your email for me, please? So of course, I don't do anything without like asking at least 50 million questions. Like, so I'm on my phone, like, what do I need to look through my email for? Oh my gosh, I don't really. Is that an Emirates ticket? Babe, I'm going to Dubai in 2 days. I was like, so that was crazy. It was beautiful. It was a great surprise. And at that point, we hadn't seen each other for about 6 months, right?
Negative. It was only 3 months.
Okay, so it felt like
Man,
six.
boy, your math be off.
No, it's not that I wasn't really calculating. It just that's what it felt like. So and I don't know if everyone really understood. So we did almost everything together. So separation anxiety is real when it comes to married couples. And I'm not saying all married couples have to do everything together all the time. That's just the way our relationship is. So when he left, it literally felt like he said he was only in Qatar for 9.5 months. I promise you, it felt like a year and a half
Yeah.
because, again, we do everything together. So I'm gonna get back to the Dubai trip, but what winded up happening is at the beginning he said, you have to, in order to do something like this, you have to have a strong relationship. And so what we did was we found ways to be together even though we weren't together.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would look forward to was we would do like a date day, if you will. So we put on our little Oculus headsets and we'd watch the shows that we still watch together. So we watch Power, we watch Ghost, whatever. I mean, all those. But I don't know if you guys have ever seen Oculus or been in. I don't know. Is it called the metaverse? Is it like
Yeah, it's the metaverse now, but
okay?
yeah, it's basically the Oculus movie theater, which is
Mhm.
a big screen. And you can go on the big screen and um you can watch shows together.
Right. So
So
we created these little avatars, and we were in the movie theater together, but we weren't. But it helped. I know it's a mental thing, but it helped with the like being able to spend time together.
mhm.
And because our time was limited, because again, I said he's 8 hours ahead. So my day is starting and his day is winding down. He's already done a 8-10 hour shift at work. Now he wants to go home, get something to eat, and relax because in the next couple of hours he has to go to sleep to do it all over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, unless it was like a Friday night. I think that's where we uh ended up getting towards. Like I ended up uh what was it? Friday nights I would spend most of my time with you.
mhm,
You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Because it was easier because I didn't have to get up on Saturday.
correct.
Uh, I could basically just kind of chill with you the entire time.
But also, so what the separation did for us, as far as I gotta say, for me, because I was so codependent on just like doing things with my husband, it forced me to become more. I'm not gonna say more independent. It forced me to get to know who I was in present day.
Mhm.
So anyone who is a mom, who is a wife, just a multifaceted life, you can understand this. A lot of the times as women, we get so focused on being wives or being moms that we forget that we are humans ourselves.
Mhm.
We have goals and we have things that we like, and those things change.
Mhm.
So what I liked when I was 30 is not the same thing as what I like when I'm 40.
Mhm.
Or, even I mean, you don't even have to take the 10-year span. Look at yourself a year ago. I'm pretty sure that your likes and dislikes are not the same because we're ever changing beings. So this time I have I've become more self-aware. That is a good word. I've become a lot more self-aware. Um so the time that I used to dedicate to make sure that his meals were cooked and all those little things that me as a wife that I like to do. And again, I'm not telling y'all this is something you got to do. I'm just saying these are the things that I like to do. So because he wasn't here, it gave me more time for me.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing either, ladies. It's It's very liberating, and but I personally believe that it in the long run, it has helped our relationship.
But you know what? I'll say this because when I was deployed in the military, it kind of mirrors how I was deployed in the military. Like when you come back off deployment,
Mhm.
is that you got that self awareness now, right? And you've gotten accustomed to doing things the way you do them. So then I come back and it's like, well, now you've been doing this the way you want to do it the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm asking you now to do something different.
Yes. That's true.
And I could be honest with you. I'm asking you to go back to the way things were, and
Mhm.
that can be that can cause friction at times, and it has caused friction. That has not changed from the military to now. It's been the exact same way because I'm like, well, and I've become more self aware too, being on my own, fixing my own food, doing this. I realize I can bake. You know what I'm saying? I realize I can Chef Boyardee it up in this piece. You
Here
know
we
what I'm
go.
saying? I'm
Here
I'm just
we go.
being real. I can Chef Boyardee it up. You had them salmon tacos last night though, didn't you?
Yeah, those are good. Those
I
are
know
good.
they was good tacos because that's your man's, dog. That's your man's.
Really?
You understand? Anyway, but I learned those things about myself. Um, so yeah, it's cool to become self-aware, but how do you mesh that back together when you get back together? How do you kind of keep that self-awareness but still, and still go back to what you had before or even better?
Well, I think in my opinion, for us, the way I see it working is that we respect each other's time more because you were there, and in those times where I like if we weren't on the phone or watching a movie together or whatever, you had your own time to do what it is that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So vice versa, I had my own time to do the things that I wanted to do or wanted to get into. And so we just respect the fact that there are things that we like to do by ourselves. It doesn't change the fact that we like to be together.
Yeah.
For me, it has been very it's helped because since I got married, I've been pretty much like engulfed in my marriage. Not saying that I don't have friends, but like I could probably count them on one hand. And the friends that I do have, I don't see every day. So like two of them are in New York, and then you know what I mean. Like they're spread out. They have their own families, their wives, their moms. So we just respect each other's space, and it's
Mhm.
not an issue. Like if I can give you an example. So you've been since James has been home. He was doing something like he was setting up everything so that to make sure that we could do the podcast and all that great stuff. And I was sitting in my chair, like I was physically present, but I was into whatever it was that I was doing. And he looked over, like he said something. He looked over and saw that I was doing something else. And he said, "I'm sorry, babe. Go ahead, finish doing what you're doing. And when you're done, we could talk."
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I really wanted you to stop right then and there.
And that's okay. That's okay for you to want that. I didn't do that, but it's okay. You know?
I was like, nah, boo, don't do your thing, man. You know what I'm saying? I respect you. But then back in my mind, I was like, I really hope this mofo stop right now and do what I wanted to do.
See, but that's
No, I'm just kidding.
no, but by you saying that, I'm pretty sure that that was a thought that you had. But I don't think that thoughts like that are bad. Now, if you act on it, then it would have been a situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Well, I can tell you one of the most difficult things about being overseas is that I missed key moments. So like I missed Alyssa's graduation from college, and after paying, for 4 years of her to go to school, and I give her a shout out because, she had to spend some extra time in school and she paid for that last year herself, right?
She sure did.
So yeah, yeah, have to give those kudos up to her. Um but she completed school, and that's a moment that I can't get back. So there's so many sacrifices that you make when you're overseas, and I always give hats off to the military because here's the deal: I got a choice. I could leave and go home at any point in time I want. I used to look at these dudes and be like, "Is and they get mad too because they be like, man, if you want to, you can leave and go home." Yeah, but the difference between you and me right now is that you know I could leave and go home, but I can't really. I still can't if I'm doing this for someone other than me.
You have the right
I have the
to
right
go.
to leave and go home. It's just that when you belong to the military, you got to stay here. But in reality, I'll be here longer than you because you get to go home. That's an obligation in the military. They can only keep you over there for a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a mental game, and then also where you are in life. They 20 something years old. They they may be just starting out with a family, or it may be just them. No, I actually have a family and I have a house to support, and blah blah blah. But
Mm.
those key moments are pivotal. Like I miss birthdays, I miss anniversaries, and it's hard. Christmas time is hard. Thanksgiving is hard because you FaceTime everybody and you see everybody together,
Yeah.
and that joint hurts. When I'm about to go home and make me a not a sandwich. I made some crab cakes, and I had some cake and stuff that I made, but it's not like being with your family.
Yeah.
And who made the potato salad, who made the mac and cheese. You looking forward to that every year, and you don't get that. So that's difficult. Um, but you got to keep your eyes on the prize. You have a goal. Anything worth having is
Worth
worth
working.
sacrificing, worth working for. There's gonna be some sacrifices when you're trying to get to a goal. It's not gonna be easy.
Definitely.
You
I
know,
definitely agree with that.
it's not gonna be easy. So, you know, eh, mentally, I always ask myself, how long can I keep this up? Right? Because it's tough, and I really don't know how long I can keep this up.
But that's why we set goals. So if for some reason he's like, look, I can't do this anymore. We at least got two houses out of it as a right. You understand what I'm saying? Like um you have to set goals, but you have to stay on track because it's very easy to get off track.
Mm.
There I've encountered women whose husbands have done the overseas thing, the contracting thing or whatever. And I've heard some stories like dudes talking about they can't come home because every time they get a paycheck, their wife is spending it. So there's nothing saved. There's nothing like I don't remember who told me this story, but this woman, they just bought a new house. She wasn't satisfied with her kitchen. So she went and spent an additional like $20,000 to get a new kitchen. He was like, "Oh, I guess I can't come home." What the like
Yeah, but yeah, and I get that happens a lot. And we don't have those type of problems, but we do have communication problems.
we do.
And particularly, so one of the things is I'm an over communicator. So I don't necessarily like when people under communicate. And not to pick on you, but yeah, you struggle in that area, and you have for years.
So, and this is not an excuse, but I think a lot of people can understand this. So, I got married when I was 30. So for 30 years, let's take it to I left my house when I was 21. So from 21 to 30, I have pretty much been moving and shaking the way I need to. I didn't have to like communicate with people and let them know what the deal was. If I changed my mind, it was me who was changing my mind. And there was nobody could change it back for me. I was just going to do what I wanted to do. With communication, the way I used to see it for a very long time, it was like a need to know basis. If it don't immediately have anything to do with you, then you don't need to know. Whereas James, He lets you know everything. And that's not a bad thing. And when you're in a relationship, I've learned that when you want to be in a prosperous relationship, you have to over communicate, because you never want to be in a position where your partner says, "Well, you didn't tell me that," or something happens. And this has happened with us. Something happens financially, and because I didn't communicate something, now he has a budget of what's supposed to be paid, what we're supposed to do, or whatever. But because I didn't communicate, now there's a $6,000 wrench that was thrown in the mix that he had no clue about.
Yeah, I mean, it never gets that like that. It doesn't get to that point, but I do look at the credit card and I'd be like, and it'd be something simple. It'd be like you went and bought Cora some dog food. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I understand that you use the card to
Of
buy
course, the
Cora some
dog,
dog food.
y'all.
But in when I look on there, it's just kind of like it's like, well, you could have just told me, even though that's a thing that has to happen. It's like, well, you could just say, hey, babe, we in conversation. You could have been like, hey, I went and got Cora some dog food today. It's just because I do that and I've tried to illustrate that over the years. You know what I'm saying? It just keeps an open dialogue.
So
And I'm sorry.
no, no, no. Well, just to so he just said the thing. So it's something that has to happen, right? So the way my brain was working was, well, she got to eat. So if you see something from the dog store, what, like, duh, she need food. Like, so it's kind of like, why do I have to say things that are so evident?
No, and I mean I agree with you. That's why I kind of like on those instances I taper off with that. But when I see you went to the store and uh like you went to a home goods store, or you did something like that, and I'd be like, yo, where'd this charge come from? Then it's when I'm like, okay, well, you could have communicated, hey, babe, I needed to buy something for the house, or I saw this thing and I got it. Because the reality is, and I'm not sure how many men feel this way. I mean, I'm sure quite a few may feel this way, but when you're the only one bringing in income, it's like, yo, and I see it going out and it's unaccounted for, it kind of ticks you off a little bit because it's like, dude, I'm over here putting in this work and you just spending money. And I mean, I don't look at it as like I never looked at you as you trying to like, you like one of those people that do that constantly, like you trying to abuse and like some people I know.
Mhm.
I never looked at it like that. It's just that I get to a point where I'm like, all right, I got everything taken care of. All right, I'm good until next month. Or I have a certain amount of money in the account, say that I like to see. I like to see a nice number based on the hard work that I'm putting in. So if something happens, I'm able to take care of it. You
And
know what I'm
I
saying?
get that. I totally get that. I think one of the hardest things for me, again, because I've had my own money.
Mm,
When that money is taken away, all the things that, like, I could go and I mean, I've done it. I could go and spend 3, 4, $500 and it wouldn't be a thing because it didn't interrupt the budget.
you're right.
All my bills were paid and all of that. So when the ability, well, not the ability, when that money is taken away and now you're like, wow, I have to actually ask. And not saying he never says that you have to ask for money. That's not what I'm saying. For me, it kind of took me back to being a kid. Like, well, I shouldn't have to ask. I don't want to ask. So I'm not going to, I'm just going to go without. And then it was like, why? I forgot what it was. James is like, I said, oh, I didn't go. I need to go and get such and such, but I'm not gonna do that yet. He was like, why? Just go and get it. I was like, yeah, I didn't want to spend the money, babe. The money, that's what I make the money for, for you to go and get the things that you need.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't necessarily about you asking, right? Like you said, it wasn't about you having to ask. It was more so like just communication. I was asking you to communicate with me, like if you need something, then just say, "Hey, baby, I need to go get X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, "All right, do you think you need to go get X, Y, and Z, or we need to discuss it and see if it's really that important because I may have something else that needs to be taken care of." That's
Mhm.
the only. That's where I was at with it.
Hmm.
I wasn't on some I control everything because I, money. A friend of mine, Kenny Farley, told me a long time ago. I was very stingy with money when I was young, and I'd be like, because I didn't make that much money when I was in high school, so I'd be like, man, I can't spend that, man. I gotta have gas, I gotta eat. But I remember he said to me, he said Boots, because that was my nickname. He said, Boots, money is made to be spent. And when he said that to me, I started looking at things a little different. I wasn't just like, you know, frivolous with it. You know what I'm saying? But it was like I was like, yo, I can do those things. I can get that right there because I'm gonna make money. I have the ability to make money over and over and over again. And fortunately, thankfully to God that He's put me in great positions to be able to make money over and over and over again. So I'm appreciative of that.
Hmm.
Um, so now uh, we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're gonna do in season two.
Yes.
Okay, so season two, we actually put together. We wrote a book a while ago, right?
Hmm.
That's called 20 Days to a Successful Marriage. It's I think we wrote it probably about
It was
2014, 15 or something
2013,
like that, right?
2014. Yeah. Hmm.
So
Now, mind you, we were still newlyweds. We got married in 2010. But go ahead.
this book here, we wrote this book, 20 Days to a Successful Marriage. And we're gonna be diving into this book um this season. So we'll do it weekly though. We won't do it 20 consecutive days back to back, So this is the content that we're going to bring. There's exercises in this book as well. So we encourage you to follow along with us. Um, if you get a chance to get the book, you can find it on Amazon. Barnes and Noble has it as well, and they'll ship it to you. And you can do the workbook exercises with us. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about um, how because we wrote this book a while ago. So we're going to see how this stuff now applies to us and go through it, do the workbook. And I mean, we may have some like frustrating moments. We're going to be real and dive into this stuff with you and give you an insight into what works for us and what doesn't work for us in this book. So we'll also have some guests as well
Yeah.
join us and talk about it. I got some good friends. I'm sure April got some friends that wouldn't mind being involved in this and just give you their experiences as well as we go through. So it's gonna be tight. Uh Stick with us, man. We have a good season coming for you this time around. Um Also I want to give a shout out, man, to a guy that came and did some work on our house.
Uh,
Right. His name is Horace Vincent Charles Jr. And he came and he initially was supposed to put up a new door for us, right?
yeah, front
So
door.
tell the story real quick how you found him, man.
So we're doing some like renovations, if you will, or upgrades to the house. And one of the first things was James was like, hey, let's get a new front door. Cool. So I go look for a door. We found a door that we love. And I went to it's a store basically where home builders and whatnot, that's where they get their supplies from. So we went there, and one of the sales people, he was like, hey, there's a handyman that looks like us that is in your area. So I'll give you his number, and I can give you somebody else just to see who you can get to come and hang your door. Cool. So I he comes to the house. Well, first of all, let me tell you how good he is. He came to the house, and he was like, okay, well, where's the door? I opened up the truck that I had the door in, and he was like, no, that's not gonna fit. And I was like, he ain't even like, all I did was show him like the tip of the door. So we go to the front door, and he looks, he's like, yeah, 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 yeah. That's not gonna work. That's like a 6 foot door. You need about an 8 foot door, and it's thinner. Sure enough, he was right. But in the midst of him explaining to me about doors, because I don't know anything about doors, I just know what I like. he took out his phone and he was like, hey, if you have any other work that you need done around the house, he starts showing me some pictures of stuff that he did. And this one thing that he showed me, I was like, wow, I like that. So I asked him for his Instagram handle and he gave it to me. And so when he left, I was like, babe, you gotta look at this. So I sent him the information. He was like, oh yeah, that's all that. I like that. So pretty much fast forward, I called him a day later, text him a day later. I was like, hey, can you come over and give me an estimate of how long this is gonna take? He came over that night, did the measurements, got the estimate done, and started a week and a half, 2 weeks later.
Yeah. And one thing that I appreciate about him is his craftsmanship. First of all, it's second to none, right? And as you can see in the videos, it's second to none. Second, it's really hard to find good quality people.
In Florida.
Really just in the Orlando area. You know, it's funny.
That's true.
I found out that people down south in Miami, West Palm Beach area, they be getting it in. Tampa, people don't have those issues. And something about Orlando is that they'll be quick to get your money. You know what I'm saying? But then
It take forever to complete the job.
you told me it's gonna take 3 days, and here we are 3 weeks later, and you still ain't done. And you looking at me for saying something about it. But
Like I'm the
you
one that's in the wrong. Listen.
right, and the funny thing is that the amount of money that you're charging me,
That part.
this shouldn't be an issue. Excuse me.
That part. That part.
This shouldn't be an issue that I have a problem with you taking longer than what you told me. And
And
if I
if there's an
inquire,
issue, just let me know. Hey,
just let me know. It goes back to communication because I'm an over communicator. If you don't communicate with me, then now I'm getting frustrated because first of all, my time and my money, I don't like it. Okay. But this guy, hands down, he's on time. One, if things change, he will let you know. Super communicative. And then he's just cool. Like
and he's clean too.
I yeah, like he get done with what he's doing and he clean up your crib. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't gotta like he even cut inside the house and he cleaned everything up with no problem. So I cannot say enough about him. And we even formed a friendship. So and we're even talking about, doing business together. Just real cool, down to earth, young guy. Well, I mean, as far as I can tell, great shape, cool dude, man. I really enjoy him. And anything I need done, any work I need done in my house, I am calling that dude. So Horace Vincent Charles Jr.
We'll
Uh
put his handle in
yeah,
my suit.
we'll put his Instagram handle down here. So you could check out his work and everything. Super cool dude. If you ever have any work you need done in this area, or I don't know, he may travel, hit him up. Hit him up. He may come see you. You know what I'm saying? He's like-minded. I like the fact that we share similar ideas, similar interests, want to do business together, want to take on different ventures. I'm appreciative of that. So again, if you get a chance, go get the book, order the book online, follow it with us as we go through this season. You're gonna have a good time. And yeah, cue the outro music.
Really, honey?
What I say wrong? Yo, till next time. Thanks for joining us on the KTC. Peace.